Hey, 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 Sacred Ones. Welcome on in. Welcome on back if you are returning to Transcended Love. And welcome on in if this is your first time. Glad to have both of you. Whatever category you may fall in, my name is Nettie. For those of you who do not know, I teach embodiment by way of self love, utilizing channeled messages, uh, guided, directed, facilitated, all by spirit. And today will be no different. So let's get into it because spirit has some things that need to be made known to you. First, I want you to hope, well, before we get to the message, because I was about to hop right into that. I don't want to hop right into it because it's there, it'll be there. But I want to make sure that I speak to you all and say and ask more so, how you doing? I'd love to know how you're doing. Comment below and let me know how you're doing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you've been considering it, if it resonates with you, subscribe. If the messages don't resonate, don't subscribe. But make sure that in all things, no matter what video you may find of mine, know that A, it is a timeless message, so it finds you whenever it needs to. And B, if the message fits and resonates, then you take it. Don't force anything at all to fit. Because it is a collective message, there is no guarantee that it meets every single person where they are. But for those it does, it is intended to. That said, I hope that you are having a fantabulous day, and I hope that life is looking amazing for you. And I hope that you can see the glory and the beauty of this life as you live it. And if you can't, I hope that you are able to find something in this message that assists you in improving that for yourself. Make sure that you all are doing something that keeps you energized and high vibrational at this time. It's easy to get sidetracked by many of the distractions that are going on in the world, but also know that, like I was saying in one of the last videos, just because you perceive things a certain way outside of you doesn't mean that that has to be your reality. And I want to come from a space of encouraging you in that even more so, but I want to make sure that you're not suppressing and that you're actually living authentically in the fullness of who you are, which is very much a component of embodiment and utilizing and integrating that sacred power. Okay. With that, it is significant that you are aware of things going on, but not emotionally attached to them. I talked about that some already, but also make sure that you are having compassion for yourself and other people. First, you have to know how to do that for yourself before you can do that for other people. You are a much more effectively compassionate person whenever you have first learned to do that for yourself. I've been hearing this term or seeing people kind of off put by what they have named spiritual bypassing. And what I want to be sure is that I encourage you not to do that. Whatever that, so the way that that has presented where I've seen it is people, they want you to lock in to some degree on the things that are going on. And I both agree and disagree. And Spirit was talking to, and this is why, because Spirit was telling me just the different significances in both places, because there is a way to spiritually bypass. Some people are, and others aren't necessarily. And what I mean by that is some people are I used to are doing this, and I used to have. I don't know if I'm pretty sure I told you I used to be heavily involved in church. I used to be super religious. Not so much. Not at all. Actually, joke. That was a joke when I said not so much. I'm not at all at this point religious, but there was a time where I was super religious, and I was always in church. And many of my friends in my friend group were of the same belief system during that time as well. And I used to be really good friends with this preacher. That was my dog. And this was during the time I was in college. And he used to always say something that stood out to me. And I still carry it with me because it makes perfect sense and it still fits with life and the integration of you as a spiritual being living out a human experience. And that was, don't be so heavenly minded that you are no earthly good. And what I would switch it to at this point is, don't be so spiritually minded that you are no earthly good. Because the whole purpose for you being here in this earthly realm, in this meat suit, is to live out a human experience. And a part of that human experience is feeling and having compassion and connecting to it in some ways. Because a part of your purpose in the spirit is to carry out functions for the collective in the natural. What I mean by that is, if, and it goes along with contrast. Contrast is the thing that often shows you who you are, and you discover your purpose due to contrast much of the time. That pain component that I talked about in one of the last videos. The pain leaves behind the gift that is your gifting and your purpose and the understanding and the knowledge and visibility of the gifts that you have. So that said, we are experiencing this same thing. This is a perpetual state in life, contrast. So the things that we're looking at in the government are things that we all see it, right? But only a number of us are meant to connect to it in such a way that it causes and pushes and compels and propels many people to become activists for a certain number of different causes that it affects. It is important, and there's a certain number of people who are meant to connect with it in that way as the visionaries that push forward movements that get us to other places in life. Like we'll say, Dr. Martin Luther King's of the world. In that time, there was a need for him to connect, to be able to propel us forward in that way that he did, right? So there were other supporting actors, is the thing that I'm hearing. And they weren't actors, but this is the verbiage that Spirit is using for an example. There were supporting actors or supporting beings that stood by him in support, in compassion, and unified, but they weren't necessarily the forefront of the movement. So many of us are called still in every movement, or we'll say movement, in every movement, to be the supporting cast. That means that you still have compassion, you still support in the ways that are necessary to support, and you're still able to integrate this spirit component more effectively to bring about other certain changes that are not in direct proportion to what the visionary, which would be Martin Luther King at this point, in or the center focus of the movement at this point is called to do. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you are catching this in the way that Spirit desires for you to, or necessary for your understanding. But Spirit wanted to make that very clear, because a couple things happen, and this is just human nature. People want you to be directly connected to a thing as heartfelt and as attached as they are. That's not necessarily the call for you. You are different in ways that make the difference for how you connect to things. That doesn't mean that you are completely disconnected from a situation. It just means that you aren't to connect as closely as they do. And that is okay, because we're all supposed to be different, but there are ways that you can be a supporting person to whatever the movement is at the time, right? So, for an example, you may not become this massive healthcare advocate on the other side of this situation, right? But somebody, a number of somebodies will become that. But what may happen with you is you may contribute financially with that measure of support, and mentally you are locked in enough to know the ails that people face on account of this. You have the gravity of understanding that connects you to it in a way that you know they're going to need finances, and this is going to help us all collectively as we go forward. So that measure of understanding and the support that you can produce and provide in that movement would be your supporting act, right? That would be your compassionate component. That does not mean that you always have to be at all of the movements. That does not mean that you always have to participate and put yourself in a riot toward the cause. There are people in place for that. There are. And if you are one of those people that connect to it in that way, then you're just one of those people that connects to it in that way. And you must stand your ground in whatever capacity that Spirit has moved you to stand. There will be no way for you to get around that, because that is the thing that Spirit has called and is pushing you to do. That is okay. Because again, this life is filled with us as collective, and we all are serving different purposes that work uniformly together. We are one big family, whether we want to see it that way or not. But the intent is for us to perform our functions in the way that we have come to this place to do. So just take heart, because many of you are feeling like you're not doing enough and you've done the thing that you can do. Just know that it is easy to be made feel that way whenever you see the measure of things that are going on and you see all the numbers of conversations around these topics that take place. If you've done all that you can do, then you've done all you can do. But if you haven't done all that you can do and you're being pressed to do something different, or you're being pressed to do more, and it's not from a place of guilt, make sure that you do that. If it is from a genuine and sincere unction and pressed by Spirit to do more, do that. By all means, do that. But if it is from a place of guilt, and guilt falls into the place of lack. If it is from shame, shame also falls in from a place of lack. If you are trying to contribute to any kind of cause from those spaces, just don't. Just don't. Step forward from a place of abundance, even in your mindset. Not because you've been guilted or because you've been shamed into doing it. It's more benefit for you to do that from a place that is more meaningful, because you're better able to be more of a blessing from a more encouraged and abundant and prosperous space. And you do not ever want to put yourself in a position to where you sully your gift with lack. And I know that sounds like an interesting point to look at it from, but it's that same concept of, if you do something begrudgingly, you may as well not do it at all. the purpose for that is because that is coming from a place of lack, and it's not at all helpful for the people that you do it for. And that's not saying that the same amount of money given from lack is gonna spend different or do different, or like they can't use it, but it still sullies it in a way. It still taints the gift that is given. So just, and what could potentially happen because you've done it that way, it could affect you more adversely than it does the other person. So you do yourself and the other person potentially a disservice by giving from a place of lack, whether it be your time, effort, energy, thoughts, if just whatever it is, if it's done from a place of lack, which would be begrudging, from shame, from guilt, just reconsider how you structure that in your mind. And it's okay to want to give of in any way or from any aspect and you're not able to, but or as a physical contribution, but sometimes that's a prayer. Sometimes that is sending good vibrations. Sometimes just checking in with spirit to see how you can be best utilized in this space, if that is your desire to do, would be of great significance. So you move in accordance with the thing that is going to be the most useful. So there's that. And I want to make sure too that, and I think maybe I said some of this already. Y'all, listen, just know, and I imagine if you've been here and you've been watching, you understand that whenever I'm channeling these messages, sometimes I go off, or it seems like I go off the rails, or I go off track, and then I'll lose my frame of thought. But more often than not, and if you've been here, like I said, you know this, when spirit is channeling this message, I don't always come back to maybe a place that I left off on because I don't remember it. And that's not to say that I'm just randomly talking. It's just a channel that's coming through, and it'll just make sense for whoever it's supposed to make sense for, and in the order that it's supposed to, because um, unless spirit brings me back to it, sometimes I will not return back because I don't remember. So hopefully that clarifies, even for some of you that have been watching, like, this girl be getting off track. That's what be happening. But anyway, be compassionate. Make sure that you are not being so spiritually minded that you are no earthly good. We are all one. We are all here to work collectively together. And that does not mean that that is necessarily going to look in all the ways that you would be pleased for it to, or desirous for it to. This life is for you, but this life is for all of us. And the other part of that is that people are here working in their purpose against you. You heard it right. Some people's purpose is to be against you, to help you to get to where you're going. Shit sounds terrible, right? Seems like everybody should be for you, right? Some of your soul members or some of your soul connections are with people who are supposed to be against you. And really, it's a part of the isness of life. It is a part of contrast. It has little to do with you, but to the degree that it is supposed to help you. It's not to be taken personal. You're supposed to view it as, this is my opportunity to grow. And that's not the way that we've been trained to do that. But that is the sole purpose for opposition, to help you grow, to be the contrast that gets you to the better space, into the better place and time, and your purpose and call and drive and desires in your life. That is just that's the principles of life. And the laws of the universe coincide and align with that. So it's so much power in maintaining your grounding and your vision for your life, because when these things come along and when these people come along to distract you, if you stay off track and you stay distracted, you won't ever get to where you're trying to get to. If you get caught up perpetually in these emotional cycles behind these things and these opportunities to grow that are presenting as trials and traumas and hardships, then you are perpetually stalled out by the thing that was meant to help you. So just make sure that you're paying attention and aware of what's going on. And if you can consider that all of the things that are outside of you, just view them like they are a distraction. Or just view them, thank you, Spirit, just view them like they are all here to help you in some way, and stop and assess why and how. Not necessarily so much even the why, but why to the degree, not like why is this happening to me, not like in a woe is me kind of way, but you're stopping to say, okay, why am I being presented with this? What am I supposed to learn? So it is that why that is accompanied by that what that is the most significant. Not why me? Oh, if it's one thing, if it's not one thing, it's another. We're not that, because that makes you a victim and you are not a victim. Because you are a victor and you are embodied and you are utilizing your sacred power, you already know. Okay, so what is this trying to show me? And why? Why is this occurring here? I said those backwards. Why is this presenting itself to me, and what is it trying to show me? It's really the same question in a different form. And when you're able to take that pause and take an account for and an inventory of the things that are going on within this situation, Spirit begins to unfold for you the answer that you seek. You begin to see things more clearly. So just make sure that you are taking a pause when you're faced with stuff, and don't let all these happenings in life get you into victimhood. One of my other trading mentors, he calls it the victimhood Olympics. We're not trying to go to the victimhood Olympics. We are trying to be victorious in the spaces that we are in. Okay. Also, for some of you, this whole government shutdown and the things that are happening in this world right now, they've gotten you onto a different frame of thought, a different thought track, is what I'm hearing. And that's good. It was meant to do that. And I'm hearing many of you are considering early retirement. I don't know who that message is for, but you would know if it fits you. If you are considering early retirement, and Spirit is saying that you do not have to be retirement age to consider early retirement, you need to consider early retirement early. The earlier you do that, the better off you are, because it puts you in a position to where you can prepare and you can actually not wing it and push this thing in the direction that it needs to go for your good. So if that is something that you are interested in, make sure that you are looking up all of the different avenues that are necessary to know as you go forward. And if you don't know exactly where to start with writing out all of your finances and figuring out how much that would mean at your current lifestyle for you to live. How much money would you need to make to be able to sustain just the lifestyle that you have right now? Many of you have very high hopes and very high dreams, and that's amazing. Continue to dream big and even bigger than you are. At the same time, make sure that you are incrementally layering on the necessary things as they need to be layered to be able to get to the greater picture. You're utilizing those small steps, budgeting and planning, all of that, research, all of the things that are going to get you to that greater space, okay? In your spare time, if you are serious about it, in your spare time, make sure that you are doing the necessary things to get you there. Don't play yourself by thinking later, later, later. You do not have to wait till retirement age to retire. That is the most, that's the thing that you're supposed to believe. So the longer it takes you to get there, the more you supply them coins through your retirement to utilize for all their investments. But take control of your own money to make sure that you are setting yourself up as early as possible to have your money making more money for you, compounding, so that you can live a comfortable life in retirement. Whether you take it now or you take it later, whether you take it soon or way later, whatever, whether you plan to retire early or not, make sure that in any case, be it sooner or later, that you are very well positioned to be able to take care of yourself off of what you've set in place for yourself. There are a number of ways to do that, and it's important for you to know many of those ways. Set out on this financial literacy journey and look into all of these different means of reproduction and accumulation and compounding that many of the wealthy people use. There are strategies in place that will help you to get there. It's going to take some research from you. And not every strategy is for everyone. There are so many different ways to get there, but all of them start with making sure that your money is making money. Every last one of them. Even if you inherit money, that money needs to be compounding, because every amount of money that you have that is not moving is losing due to inflation. Things are increasing in price, but the dollar is still the same dollar. So that means that if it was once 50 cents on the dollar, then it's now however much more on that same dollar, which means that you are getting less for the same amount of money. If we say 50% compared to 85% for the same item on that same dollar, you want to make sure that you are getting the most bang for your buck. And sometimes that's going to mean minimizing some of the things that you don't necessarily need and living within your means. It's always going to mean living within your means and not allowing lifestyle creep to step in. If you don't know what I mean by lifestyle creep is whenever you feel like you're making more money and you gotta add some more debt to it, or you gotta add more to it. You, instead of using the car that you have, you start making more money, or you've got more money and now you want a brand new car. And now you want a brand new house. But you're not in a financial place that makes sense to do it. You're trying to keep up with the Joneses. Let them Joneses go on and Jones, okay? And you keep up with whoever you are in setting the life in place for yourself, because I guarantee you that whatever the Joneses have going on, it's not your situation. The Joneses could have inherited money and they could have already retired themselves. Why would you, as a Smith, be trying to keep up with the Joneses if the Joneses have done the thing that they needed to do to put themselves in position and you are still working on it? That don't make sense. So make sure that you being a Smith in this scenario and doing the things that need to be done. Now, if you are the Jones, if you are a part of the Jones family, then you just keep Jonesing. You just keep doing the Jones thing the Jones way. And don't try to keep up with the other Jones as if they doing more and that's not in your realm. but but yeah, I think y'all get what I'm saying here. But yeah, just make sure that in all the things that you do, that you're still able to show compassion, because you still have a human side of you, and feeling is a part of being a spiritual being. It's a huge part. Having emotions is a huge part of being this spiritual being. Large parts. So you cannot operate from a place of love without first recognizing it and being the love that you need for yourself and extending that same measure of love to the world outside of you. It's necessary to have compassion. People, uh, they're not you. They don't have the same measure of understanding of things that you do. Just like you don't have, this is perfect. Thank you, Spirit. Just like some of you don't have the same understanding as a millionaire of how finances work. Think of other people who don't necessarily have the same measure of understanding as you do. Put yourself in their situation, just briefly enough to be able to have compassion. Because if you knew how to be a millionaire right now, you would be. If you knew how to be a multimillionaire, if you had that same caliber of knowledge, you would be. So from this angle, it would be amazing if somebody on that level understood where you were and reached down to help you or had compassion on you, which is why many of them make books and give you information, even if it's behind a paywall. They extend to you their mastery and skill so that you will be able to be on track and have the same measure of knowledge. And if you are of the kind of person that's still in this victim space and you refuse to see that, then this message is not for you. But if you can open up your mind and your heart and see that people produce these products, even if at a price, giving you the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that they have in the spaces that they're in to help you. And you can see that sometimes that paywall is to help you, but it's also a boundary and protection for them, their mental space and capacity as well. It's value on both sides that much of that stuff is behind the paywall. You can give some stuff for free, but not every single thing has to be free or needs to be free. In fact, you do people a disservice a lot of times if you give them certain things for free. That's not everybody. But also, it is not an energetic protection for yourself to know and make a big deal of who those people are. That's not the best utilization of your time. So you got to do the thing that is the best utilization for your time and your effort and your energy, which is often a paywall. Anyway, that said, somebody needed to hear that. If you are somebody that has a product and you are struggling with charging people for certain things, there are certain parts of it that you charge for, and there's certain parts that you don't. And Spirit will give you which parts those are, but you don't ever feel bad about putting some things behind a paywall because you still got to protect your energy. Other things, give freely to your heart's content, but allow Spirit to lead you, because there is the thing that we don't want to do is also be a crutch. It doesn't help the other person to be a crutch to them. You become more of a detriment to at certain points whenever you are giving game at a high capacity for free. And these things have limits. So nobody run off with the fact that, I'm saying that people shouldn't give things for free or in whatever way people are desirous to misinterpret. Just know, put some of your stuff behind a paywall. Preserve your time, preserve your effort, your energy, and your mental capacity. You got to be okay to continue in this endeavor. Yeah, you know who you are if that's for you. Others of you, create some things. Even if you just getting on here and you just sharing videos and you sharing laughs, whatever they may be about. There are a number of people that are in position and in place just to hear what it is that you have to say, to see what it is that you have going on. Maybe you got a message that is unique and you might have the same, let's just say this. You might have the same message that I have, right? But you may say it in a simpler way, or you may say it in a more complex way. Whichever way that is, there are millions of people who need to hear it a more complex way, and there are millions of people that need to hear it in a more simplified way. How will you know unless you do it? Which of those groups of people are desirous or wanting to hear it in whatever way you have it to present it? Or you might present it in the same way and they might like your voice better than mine. They might like your look better than mine. For whatever reasons that people choose who they choose to resonate with, you don't know what those are. Get yourself out there. Get your stuff out there. Put your art. Get on here and paint. Get on here and read a book. Read stories to people. Get on, do something between here and TikTok and all the other social platforms. It's money out here for you. It's money out here with your name on it. Whoever you are, it's money in the market for you. It's damn sure enough. Anyway, the main sentiment and tone though, make sure you're showing compassion and not trying to make everybody be you. Because there's somebody that has more going on than even you do, and they looking at you. You want them to be compassionate, right? You want them to understand that you are learning and you don't know what they know, right? You might say no, but that's not true. Even if you think it is, it's not true. Because if they came right now and wanted to help you for the free to get to where they are, that would make a big difference. Or if they had enough compassion to say, hey, here's a couple bands, get this and do this and do this with that, and then holler at me, that would be helpful. Or if they just gave you one bit of advice on just the one thing they see you missing that would propel your entire career in whatever direction that you're trying to go, that would make all the difference. But it would take compassion for them to even get to the place of doing that. Just be compassionate. Having compassion is free. It don't cost you nothing most times. And it only needs to cost you whatever spirit presses you to give whenever you are pressed to give it. Time, effort, energy. Could be just a heartfelt moment that turns into a prayer. Just be compassionate. It's easy to say, and I want to talk about this a little bit because it's unfortunate. And this video is already kind of long. If you're here, you're here. If you're not, you're not. But I've seen, and just, it was meant for me to see. It's disheartening how many people were celebrating the mishap with the SNAP benefits. Now, when I was telling you in that last video to make sure you're doing some more for your family so that you're not allowing these people to starve you, I meant that with my whole heart. But it was not in a way to be nasty, and it was not in a way that was supposed to discourage you. Because many people are, or to discourage anyone, many people are not aware of what more they can do. Now I know the internet is there, that whatever. Just like the same internet is here for those of us who want to get to a better place and we're still not there yet. It's really just that simple. The knowledge is out there for us to get to a better spot than we are, and the knowledge is out there for them to get to a better spot than they are. Same boat, different ends of the spectrum. And because that is the case, there is knowledge that is necessary to be gained on their end, while there is knowledge that is necessary to be gained on our end to get to whatever other place that we're trying to get to. There has to be some room for that. You have to be able to see that. And you can't you can't be so consumed with the splinter that's in their eye and you can't get the plank out of yours. That's what's meant by that scripture. If you serious about following scripture, it's easy to see the other things that are going on with other people that we deem as ill or feel like we know the answers to their situations. We don't know the answers necessarily to their situations because you don't know what's going on in these people's lives. So don't pretend like you do. They don't know what's going on in yours. Just be compassionate enough to know that perhaps if they knew better, they would do better and figure out a way to get more knowledge out there. That's a better utilization of energy than celebrating people's downfalls. Don't That is a terrible position to be in. Karma is a fact of life. And karma is just the isness of life. It's neither good and it's not bad. But you get more in life of who you are. You magnetize and attract those things to you. So I don't never advise being fucked up out here behind people eating and having a decent livelihood and quality of life. Be compassionate. Try to see people's situations from a place of love. But that first starts in you. That first starts in you and for you. And if you're struggling with that and you got to figure out how to love yourself more so that you can love other people, hit that link that's in this description, okay? Hit the link that is in the main profile description to help yourself, darling. Because truly, everything does start in us. And it starts with directing your day in a more positive direction and fashion. Instead of just allowing this world to dictate and tell you which way and how to go, you direct your own day. You take control and walk in the power and authority of your own sacredness by doing such. So I've created for you and given you a part of my morning routine. I do it every day. It is the Sacred Rise Ritual. That is the link. And if you click on it and let that thing download for you when you get to the end there, you'll have a start. You'll be able to go on and tap in with yourself and figure out your own self-love situation first. But in the meantime and in between time, just practice anyway. Fake it till you make it where compassion is concerned. If you don't quite understand it, accept it as something that you don't necessarily understand as to why they are where they were, or they are. Everybody starts from somewhere. You can't be mad at them from starting from a place of not knowing. Nobody's mad at you for starting from a place of not knowing. Extend that same grace and that same love. Anyway, I love y'all to life. And I only want the best for y'all. And I only want the best possible outcomes in all of your situations and scenarios in life. So I'll leave you this message in love and in light only and always. I give you back your energy and I'm taking mine with me. And until next time.